If your website uses a very basic header, there's actually only one key thing you need to know with automatic CSS to build that header. But if your header is a sticky header or an overlay header, for example, that actually creates a lot of challenges in web design. Now, automatic CSS has solutions for those challenges, but you have to know what they are and you have to know how they work. And so we're going to cover all that in today's video. We're going to do a basic header. We're going to do a sticky overlay header, and then I'm going to show you content offsets and scroll offsets. Let's go ahead and take a look. I am editing a header template right now. We are going to start with a very basic header. So I am going to add a section element, and I know semantically this is not a section, but section elements give me the structure that I need, an outer wrapper and an inner container. What I'm going to do though is I am going to remove the section tag and change it to a div. That's because semantically this is not a section, and I don't want the default section padding either. So I get better semantics this way, and I lose the padding that I don't actually want or need. Now I'm going to do this very slow so you can see it like build up so that you can really understand every aspect of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is in my inner container right here, and let's just call this header, and let's call this inner. I'm going to put in an SVG, which is going to be my logo, right? So I'm going to choose my logo file. We'll choose this one. We'll make it 200 pixels wide. And then what we'll do is in our inner, we will align everything to the center, okay? I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and we're going to go view this on the front end, okay? Perfect. I now have a header, and you can see that the content alignment is actually perfect right here, okay? But we don't have any padding and we don't have a gutter. So if we actually look at this, let me go back in the template. If we actually look at this at a breakpoint, you're gonna see, uh-oh, that's a problem. My logo actually touches the edge of the screen. So what I need is not a random padding value over there. I need the exact value of my website's gutter. Well, that's easily doable, okay, with automatic CSS because we have a variable called gutter. So what I could do, and this is just one option, I'm going to show you a different option in just a second. What I could do is come over to padding, and I could do _gutter and hit enter, and it's going to add my gutter value, but I don't want to add that in the container. So I'm going to take that out. I want to add it in the outer wrapper because that is the proper way to do this padding value. So I'm going to do gutter on the left, gutter on the right. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. I'm going to refresh. Notice nothing happened on desktop, which is actually good. If you see something happen on desktop when you do that, you did it wrong. In fact, I'm going to show you if I use this container right here and go gutter, gutter, and I hit save and I go to the front end, now that happens. That's why you don't want to put your gutters inside the inner wrapper where your content goes. It changes the effective content width of your website. That's bad. That's not good, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and take that out. I still have the gutter on the outer wrapper, okay? And what that does is when I go down to a breakpoint, look at this. I have perfect content alignment because the gutter value is being used in these sections and the same gutter value is being used in my header. But this doesn't really fix my top and bottom padding issue. So what I would do in my header here where I've gutter left, gutter right, I can choose a normal space like space S, and then I can put that on the bottom as well. And now I have a header that's really, really well done. Like that looks like a legit header right there, okay? And I'm just using spacing tokens, top and bottom, space M, S, L, whatever you want to use. Left and right, you need to make sure you use your gutter, okay? I'm going to just throw in a menu here real quick. So we're going to do a nav menu, and my nav menu is going to be just the main menu of the website. I'll go to top level, typography. Let's come in and make this color black, okay? So I can do black, and I am going to obviously need to align that, right? So we need to do flex row. We need to vertically align everything to the center, and then we can actually say space between, hit save, refresh. I have a legit header just like that, okay? Very, very easy. Now, that's one method. That's one method. Let me show you a shortcut. Let me show you a little cheat code, okay? We can actually use an automatic CSS utility class. So I'm going to take this outer wrapper. I'm going to go to style layout, and I'm going to clear out all the padding. So I just lost my gutter, and I just lost my top and bottom padding that I chose. Now what I'm going to do is right click, and I'm going to type pad, and you're going to notice I have normal padding classes. You don't want to use these, right? Because if I choose M or S, it's going to put S top and bottom, which I want, but it's going to put S on the sides as well. We don't want that on the sides. What do we want on the sides? We want a gutter, right? So look at this. Automatic CSS knows this, right? It's one of the only frameworks to have header classes, okay? Just like it's one of the only frameworks to have section classes. So when I do my header, I can choose header S like I did before, and this does the top and bottom padding and automatically does the gutter for me. I go ahead and hit save. I refresh on the front end. It looks exactly the same. Why does it look exactly the same? Because it's using all the same values in all the same places. But the cheat code is, it's just one utility class. You don't have to use the variables, pop on the utility class, and you are good to go. So if you're doing a basic header in automatic CSS, it's literally as simple as that. Now, let's complicate things. Let's say our client or us or our designer, whatever, really wants this website to have an overlay header, which means the header actually sits on top of this first section of content, and they want that header to stick to the top. So as we scroll down the page, it's stuck to the top and it stays with the user. Okay, let's see how we can approach this. So I'm going to go in my header template here in Bricks. I'm going to go to template settings header, and you're going to see sticky header right here. I'm just going to go ahead and toggle that on, hit save. Let's go refresh on the front end, and look what we got. It is now sitting on top of the first section of content. We can't see the logo anymore, and we can't see the links anymore because they're blending in. So the first thing we need to do is we need to fix that. So I'm going to go to my SVG right here, go to my fill, and I'm going to say, you know what, that logo needs to be white now. I'm going to select my menu right here, top level, typography, open the color palette, change that from black to white. Now my links are white. Let's go ahead and hit save. And look at this, it's also sticking. So it's overlay, which is nice, but it's also sticking, which we wanted, which is nice, okay? But one problem there, look at that. That's kind of a collision. Like I can't read it because it's colliding with the content. So one thing we can do in Bricks, let's go back here to template settings and header settings. We can say scrolling background, okay? So when it's scrolling, it needs to have a background color so that it doesn't collide with any text or content or anything like that. So we're going to open this up and we're going to say that our scrolling background needs to be black trans 20. Okay. And let's just see what that does. Does that give us enough contrast to fix our problem? So it does not. It does not. So we need to go with like 60. Okay. I don't want it to be too dark because I still want you to be able to see through it. Oh, we're getting closer there. We're getting closer. Let's do 80, whatever. Let's do 80. All right, let's refresh. There we go. We can still see through it, right? But it prevents collisions now. And because that's sticky, it's a background on scroll, it's not actually there when we're not scrolling. Like when we're all the way at the top, it's not there. But the minute we start scrolling, it appears. That's really good, right? That's best practice. And Bricks, fortunately, makes that very easy for us. But there's some other challenges. Two other challenges to be exact, okay? One of them is the fact that, as you see here, we have a little bit of a spacing issue now. The header is taking up room, taking up space inside of this first section. That's not good, because if you look here visually, this white space is much bigger than this white space, and visually that throws off the balance. And if we had a lighter website or we had a different kind of design here in the first section, it would be even more noticeable than it is in this particular hero section. Best practice dictates our white space needs to be equal. So this white space needs to be equal to this white space. Well, how do we do that? Well, we need to know what the height of our header is, and then somehow, some way, we need to offset the content of this website by the amount of the header, since the header is sitting inside of that first section. Now, there is no framework that does this for you. There is no page builder that does this for you, aside from automatic CSS. Aside from automatic CSS, it's the only one. It's the only one. You happen to be using the only one that does this. That's fantastic. Fantastic for you. Not fantastic for the people who don't use automatic CSS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open automatic CSS, layout, header, and you're going to see some inputs here. A few of them are for header height, okay? And then we have a switch that says offset content automatically, and we have a switch that says offset scroll margin automatically. Let me show you, before we do anything here, let me just close this. Let me show you one other problem with these sticky headers, okay? I'm gonna click this button, it's gonna scroll me down the page, okay? And when it arrives at its destination, okay, you're gonna notice, just like in the hero section, it's covering things up. Now in the hero section, it was only covering up padding that was up there, but in this section, where the content touches the top of the section, it's actually covering up content. It's kind of like, the effect is, it scrolled too far. It scrolled into the section, and that's not good visually speaking, right? I'll go up there, I'll click it again. Notice the image. You can see through the header right there. You can see the image. It should have stopped right there so that I can see everything. And again, visual balance is important. I want this white space to be equal to this white space. But when it scrolls too far, I have this kind of thing going on with all this down here going on. Visually, that's way off balance. So we've created two, just by your client going, well, I really like that thing called a sticky header. Well, guess what? They just created two nightmare scenarios for you. Number one, in the first section on every page, you're going to have off-balance spacing. And then on any scroll to hash links, you're going to have off-balance spacing. Two major issues site-wide that you have to figure out how to fix, except you don't have to figure it out. We already figured it out for you, and we already provide the controls for you. So we're going to fix these two things right now, and I'm going to show you how easy it is, okay? So what I'm going to do is click Automatic CSS. Again, we're under Layout and Header. And you're going to see these inputs here. We're going to deal with those in just a minute. What I want to do is toggle this on right here. Offset content automatically. Go ahead and toggle that on. When I toggle that on, you're going to notice that nothing has changed. Why? Because what this does is it takes the height of your header and it offsets the page content by the height of your header. But if your header height is set to 0, my friends, it's going to offset it by 0. So we have to put in a number here. What is the number we are going to put in? Okay, let's take a look. What I want to do is inspect my header, and I want to kind of, well, actually, I'll give you a bit of a shortcut here. It's even easier. See this arrow right here, this little box, this arrow? Click on that, and then as you hover around, it auto-selects things, and it gives you details about those things. Well, look at this. I'm going to hover over my header. It's going to auto-select it. It's going to put a little white context box here, and it's going to tell me, top right corner, that my header height is 82.85. So I'm going to hit escape. Header height right here, 82.85. Notice the content of the page jumping around as I do that. What if I put 500? Look at what it's doing. It's offsetting it by 500 pixels. But my header height's not 500. It's 82.85. And when I do this, I get a perfect offset. The white space here perfectly matches the white space here. Okay? Why? Because the offset is perfect based on the height of my header. That's fantastic. Automatic CSS has solved this problem for me across every single page of my website. Just like that. Now, what are all these other inputs for? Well, if you know anything about headers, as you squeeze it down, typically your header is going to shrink as well, right? And at these different breakpoints, it's actually going to have a different height. So what you want to do is you want to get your header exactly done the way that you want it done, and then start measuring, okay? How high is it at this breakpoint, and that breakpoint, and this breakpoint, and that breakpoint? Well, I'll give you a hint. Usually, if your XL breakpoint, right here, XL, is the same as your content width, then the header height on desktop is going to be the header height at XL. So you can almost just duplicate those unless you've done something weird with your breakpoints. Then this would be different. But if you haven't done anything weird with your breakpoints, these are going to be the same value each and every time. Now, my L value is 992. So what I want to do, and I'm just going to hover this for a minute. I'm going to go in, activate mobile mode, up here, I'm going to say 992. Give me a 992. I'm going to activate the selector and I'm going to select my header and I'm going to see, look at that. It's a different value. So at 992, it's actually 79.13. So I'm going to put in 79.13 for the L. Now I'm going to come in breakpoints. M is 768. Okay. So what I want to do here is 768, hit enter. It's going to make the screen 768 and I can measure it at 768 and it's now 76.9. Okay. So I'm going to say 76.9. Look how it's going down. It started at 82.8. Then it's 79, now 76.9. Now let's go to header height S. So S is 480. I'm going to put 480 in here, hit enter, gives me 480. If you need to hide automatic CSS for a second, you can if it's in the way. Measure the header. Here we're at 74.4, 74.4. Okay, let's bring our panel back. Header 74.4. Okay, these are the heights of my header across all different screen sizes. Now, I'll give you this. That's a little bit manual. It's a little bit manual. We are experimenting with different ways to auto measure the height of your header at every breakpoint. Okay, so that could be a future feature in automatic CSS, just to let you know what could be on the horizon. I know if we just had a button we could click and it did it automatically, that would be even better. We're already saving you hours of time trying to sort these challenges out, so that's good. But if we can make it even faster, why not make it even faster? So that is something that we are absolutely exploring. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is hit save now, and I'm gonna pin my dashboard back when this is done saving. And we're just gonna take a look at what we've done, okay? So let's go close this. I'm just gonna reload the entire website. Look at how, visually speaking, this challenge, it's just done. It's been solved for me. I'm offsetting my content, which is fantastic. And I want to show you this layout, header. Look at this. Offset scroll margin automatically is on by default. So whenever you have these heights in here and you have that toggle on, look what's also fixed for you. I'm going to hit the button to scroll and it scrolls perfectly to the top of that section. Look at this white space, perfectly matching this white space. Okay. Everything is perfect out of the box because of this feature set, offset content and offset scrolling. And I'll just let you know, just give you a heads up. We're going to get to it later in ACSS 101. But when we get to sticky elements, guess what? Those are fixed too. Okay. All right, good. Now there could be a time, all right, where certain pages or certain templates or certain post types, you're actually not using a sticky or overlay header on those. Maybe you've got two different headers going on, right? Okay, so here's how we manage that, because there, like I just said, there could be instances where you don't want this offset happening, right? You don't want any of the offsets happening. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna open the panel again, and we're gonna look at when I toggled this on. Look at this, offset content. Look what happens when I toggle it on. I get two other inputs. What are these for? Well, we're gonna start with the bottom one, exclude pages, okay? And there is a default value for exclude pages that is a utility class called content offset off. How does that utility class work? Well, let's hop in. We're gonna not be in templates now. I'm gonna go to my homepage. Let's say I'm just pretend with me for a second, okay? We're using a sticky overlay header on every page of the website, except I don't want it like that on the homepage, okay? I wanna turn it off on the homepage. All right, so I'm gonna edit the homepage in Bricks. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the settings for this page. So I'm gonna click on, and I can just close that for a second. I can click on the settings wheel. I can go to page settings, general, and there's something called a body class, all right? I'll explain what a body class is in just a second. But I'm gonna write content offset double dash off. I actually don't need the period, okay? And we're gonna hit save. And then I'm just gonna refresh this website on the front end. We've lost the offset, guys. We've lost the offset, right? I turned it off. That's what I just did. Now, what is a body class? Let's go ahead and inspect. And I'm gonna go, look at this. You find the body element right here. It says body class equals. It's actually a bunch of these classes, right? And look what Bricks just did. It put a new one called content offset off in that list. which is really awesome. And when that class exists in the list on the body class, we don't get the offset. That's how you turn it off. That's one way to turn it off. There's actually other ways to turn it off. What if that's good if there's like 1 or 2 pages, but what if like programmatically, if you're like, no, like every post in this custom post type, or every blog post in general, or a specific page like page ID 2. I don't want to use utility classes. I want to use programmatic class or selector styling. So let's just explore this a little bit, okay? Let's start with this word home. There's a class on the home page that WordPress adds to every home page called home. That's what the class is, okay? Watch this. All right, so what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna go take off this body class, okay? So there's no longer a body class. Let's go refresh on the front end. Our offset comes back because we're not turning it off. But now watch, I'm gonna go to automatic CSS, layout, header, content offset off, comma, quotes, home. So I can actually target the home page from right here and say, I don't want this on, I don't want the offsets on the home page. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. And then what we're gonna do is refresh. All right, so when it's done saving, we're on InstaWP. It takes a little bit longer to save. Okay, look, it's disappeared. I don't even have to refresh. It's a hot reload. It's gone. Offset is gone. Now, this is also page ID number 2. So I can show you how to do this by page ID. So I'm just gonna save. Let's refresh. Let's let it come back so you can see that it's actually coming back. All right, so here it comes. Boom, it's back. Now what I can say is page ID 2. Any body class that exists on the body, I can target and I can turn it off, which means custom post types, page IDs, posts in general, a lot of different ways to target things. The utility class, you can make your own custom class, really flexible, really fast, really powerful, okay? But what if you're actually deploying 2 or 3 different headers in various places on the site, and you don't want to keep track of, what pages is this header on? So I got to turn them off there. Or what templates is this header used in? So I can go turn it off there. You just want to say, no. If this header exists, don't use the offset. Like this specific header, if it exists on the page, do not use the offset, okay? How would we approach that? Well, look at this, exclude headers. Okay, and you see a data attribute here. It says data sticky header equals 0. What this means is if your header has a data attribute called data sticky header, and that attribute has a value of 0, which 1 and 0, binary, 0 means off, okay, or false, 1 is true, or on. Okay, I want to turn the header off. I want to turn sticky, overlay, offset, everything on this header off, all right? So here's how we do this. Let's go ahead and save. Let's get our offset to come back. I want to see the offsets again. All right, here we go. And there it is. So I have my offset again. I'm going to go into the builder. I'm going to refresh the builder. And I'm going to grab my header right here. So let's grab the outer wrapper. Why can't I select anything? Oh, I'm not in the header. I got to edit the header. I was editing the page. Okay, let's go close that. Now I'm back in the header. Let's grab this. So that's my actual header. I'm going to go to style. I'm going to go to attributes and I'm going to say data. Is it data header sticky or data sticky header? Let's take a look. Let's go layout, header, data sticky header. Okay, so data sticky header. And I'm going to show you this in the code as well. And I'm going to say value equals 0. I'm going to save, and then we're going to go to the front end, and I'm just going to refresh. And because the header has data sticky header 0, we don't get the offsets. Okay, so it's yet another way that we can target and turn off the offset functionality based on, in this case, a data attribute on the header. So I'm going to select this. We're going to find the header. Here's the div, okay? And look at this, data sticky header. Can you guys see this? Yes, you can. Let me zoom in a little bit. Data sticky header equals 0, stuck to that header right there. Absolutely fantastic. Yet another way to turn off the offset. Now, I want to look at one last thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go clear that attribute out. We're going to get this to save. We're going to refresh on the front end. Our offset comes back. Last thing I want to look at, we're going to look at this scroll to hash situation one more time. If I scroll down, notice it's offsetting by my header perfectly. There are some cases where you want more offset. So yes, offsetting by the header is great, but I actually want extra offset. Okay, there are certain cases where that might be. So what I'm going to do is automatic CSS, and I'm going to go to a different area, additional styling, scroll offsets, and look at this. I can now at every breakpoint add extra offset. This is not extra content offset. It's just extra scroll offset, okay? So scroll offset, I'm just going to set this to a big number, like 200 pixels, and hit save, just for demonstration purposes, okay? And I want you to see what happens. So as soon as that refreshes, we're going to get out of here. We're going to go back to the top. We're going to refresh. I'm going to click the button again. And look at this. It stopped 200 pixels before its target. Okay, so it's offsetting by the header amount, but it's adding an extra 200 pixels of offset. You can manage in automatic CSS this extra offset under additional styling, scroll offsets, and you can put whatever value here you would like, right? Pretty straightforward. You can do it at every single breakpoint, right? So if you want less offset as we go down through the different device sizes, you're in full control of what the extra offset is here. Let me go ahead and go back to camera. So I showed you how to do a basic header situation, a sticky overlay header situation. We talked about two big challenges that appear as soon as you try to use a sticky or overlay header. And I showed you how to solve those challenges with automatic CSS very quickly across your entire website. And I also showed you how to manage different headers where one header might be static and basic and another header might be sticky and overlay. And how do you control when the offsets happen, when the offsets don't happen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you have any questions, drop them below. Keep in mind, again, I want to reiterate, this is functionality that does not exist in any other framework or any other page builder. This is unique to automatic CSS. It saves you hours of time, headaches, hassles when you're using sticky and overlay headers, especially, okay? But it is a little bit technical. So if you have any questions about it, drop the comments below or create a post in the community support forum. We're happy to jump in and help you out. We can look, just make sure you post a link. It really helps us if you post a link, and we'll diagnose and we will show you exactly what you need to do. All right, I'll be back very soon with another video in the ACSS 101 series. Peace.